Good afternoon, South Coast. This is Ron Oliveira from Remax Vantage. We're here, episode 24, Behind the Grind, with my left-hand man, right-hand man, Chris Resendes. I'm so happy to see you. I feel like we're like a week or two behind.
We're growing apart, sir.
No, I took off 1 week.
You look sharp.
At least you didn't wear your hat backwards today. We had some clown give you some bullshit about your hat one time.
It's crazy, right? So they're gonna pick on something, right? They're always gonna pick on something.
They can't pick on us.
They can't.
24 episodes. Not a lot of people can say that. 24 episodes. And I just came back from convention in Las Vegas, so nobody is gonna hurt my feelings.
He's riding high. I can promise you that. I got a 5 a.m.
So happy.
Got a 5 a.m. text this morning.
I let you sleep for 2 extra hours. I was actually up at 3 a.m. I'm waiting for 4:59 and 59 seconds to send that text yo.
The alarm goes off at 4:15, so you waited too long.
How many people are doing that today, you think?
I don't know, man. The gym's not getting any busier, so I don't see anybody there that early. And just like everything in general, I truly believe that the people that we have on this show are part of the 2% in this world, the 2% that go above and beyond and make it happen, right? If it were more than that, they wouldn't be considered special at all, or they wouldn't, status quo. The status quo is literally 98% of Americans kind of don't do that extra.
No,
and
a
only
lot of
2% of us do it.
So I was kind of skeptical this year when we went to convention. So last year was our 50-year anniversary. So it's our global convention. So people come from everywhere, Portugal, Brazil, Japan, you name it. And last year was super packed. And I'm like, market's changing, everyone's kind of belly aching. And dude, this place was filled to the rafters with Remax agents. And everyone just wanting to embrace the market. Everybody feels that this is going to be probably the best market we've had in the last 3 years. Because everyone thinks the market's tipping now. It was really 2023, 2 years after COVID.
Yeah.
That's when things went down, the biggest drop in real estate. But now it's coming back up. You said, we were talking about it earlier, rates are getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
Inventory is increasing. Buyers have more choices, and I'm excited. My team's excited. We got back. But you have a lot of people that aren't excited, that have came in with these goals at the beginning of the year, and they're just fucking kicking the can down the road again.
Dude, it's tough, right? So a lot of people just aren't cut out to be just working for themselves, not understanding that a paycheck you're not obligated to a paycheck in this world. The number one job to make money is sales. And guess what happens with sales? If you're not making sales and weathering the storm and going through the hard time where there's no checks coming in, you can never reach that final destination of wealth, right? You have to endure these times. This is what builds you. The past 2 years, especially in your market, my market's been great the past few years, but the past 2 years for you has really, I think, helped build you as a leader better. I've seen it from the outside looking in, and it's kind of had you the opportunity to really see the individual for what they are rather than what they said they were. Now you get to see when people are down in the valley. That's when you see.
Go back in the valley.
Yeah, dude.
My God.
When you're down in the valley, that's when you're going to see.
That's
when you're going to see these people and who they really are, dude. How they operate in moments of desperation. Are they going to stride to achieve that greatness that they promised you when they came in knocking on your door? Are they going to do the stuff the non-negotiables that you have to do in business? And then, you know what? A lot of those have flared off. So now as the market, as we come around that final turn here, what you're talking about, we're about there, the final turn, right? The Trump tariffs, you can say what you want to say. That's going to help out the real estate market. I'm going to tell you why right now. You're going to see a boom in local, right? And you're going to see inventory popping up. You're going to see people leaving here to go to these destinations. There are mega factories being built throughout the country. Massachusetts somewhat has become unaffordable for some people and affordable for others, right? So what is that going to do? You're going to see an influx of people leaving and a departure. With that departure comes inventory. With that inventory comes people buying and selling again. You're going to restart a cycle. And that's going to happen.
I'm excited
There's billions and trillions of dollars being promised by Apple, Taiwan Semiconductor, all these big companies, dealership, American car makers, they're all bringing their stuff here. Foreign car makers, they're bringing their stuff here.
Right.
So you're going to start seeing a lot of shaking and moving. And in your industry,
exciting.
You're right here. Like you said, this is 2023. You're coming around all the bad stuff, and now you're about to whiplash into a busy market here in the next 12 to 18 months.
I think it's going to be the biggest transfer of wealth we've probably seen in a very long time. There's going to be probably 45 million buyers into the market right now. That's a big number.
Yeah.
I tell people, so why wouldn't people want to go better themselves, get educated, learn from some of the best trainers in the world, and just sit on their duff here when RE/MAX makes it so affordable for you to go there and learn it and get in front of Brian Buffini. We got in front of the, talking about stories and the Valley, we actually got to meet the co-founder of Netflix. So the coolest story, and I know we got to get to our guest, was they went into Blockbuster. Remember I know you remember Blockbuster.
I do. I support Blockbuster. The blue and yellow.
Yeah.
I support Blockbuster.
So they went into Blockbuster and they offered to sell out for $50 million. And Blockbuster threw them out and laughed at them. Said, yeah, right, get out of here. And then they went and they kept failing forward. They did the red box and all that stuff. Tried to mail you the movie. Hope that people would mail it back and they got screwed. Nobody was mailing it back. And they just kept failing forward. And then now, today, they're a $300 billion company.
Oh, yeah.
And guess who's out of business?
Blockbuster.
So you have to have like-minded people around you and say, look, we need to keep going. We need to keep learning. We need to keep growing and stay on path. And I just see, like you said, a lot of people, the gym's getting emptier again. People aren't showing up to trainings already. They're getting spring fever. And it's like, how do you keep that together?
Bro, it's discipline. It's that simple. It's discipline. Doing the shit you don't want to do and you don't feel like doing on a consistent basis. And that's it. That's literally it. Discipline, faith in yourself, faith in something higher than yourself, and faith in those you surround yourself with.
I don't know how you embed that in people. It's like that percentage of people, it's just getting smaller and smaller.
You don't. And guess what? It's a dying breed. So what does that mean? That means that for the people that have it in them, we're about to eat.
That's what I'm talking about. We're about to eat, in case you can't tell.
Yeah. And, our next guest, and I'm going to go back to Valleys. I met this next guest years ago. I was instantly drawn to her. We were drawn to each other. We came a long way. We've been, good friends now for 6 years. I served right beside her.
I'm surprised she's dealt with you this long.
She has.
Really, she's a very patient woman.
She's told me to go fuck off a couple times.
This next guest is super patient.
And that's to put it nicely. And I deserve it. And I have people like her and you in my life. People like me need those. And so we've done business owners all the time. We've done business owners, and this is somebody I say this all the time. No matter what this woman does, she'll be great at because she has every trait that a business owner has, and she cares. She's a hard worker. She's empathetic towards others, apathetic towards the bullshit, and she just gets it done. And this is someone that every business owner can learn from, and that's why it's a great switching lanes from business owners to now the director of the Friends of Jack Foundation, Miss Jill Fearons.
Jill.
Hello,
thank
gentlemen.
You for taking time out of your super busy schedule.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And everything you were saying is a little inspiring. But I do have to say, the one thing that I would add is I think what keeps people going is love what you do. And if you don't love what you do, find something you do love, to be quite honest. Because everybody has something in them to be incredible. And if you don't love what you do, find what you do love and do it.
That's it, guys. Show's over. Thank you for tuning in.
You learned
Episode 24. We're going to keep it short this week.
It kind of broke your heart, though, because I know you. You are the type of person where, I'll get you to love real estate. I'm going to make you love this.
Well, if anyone can, you would be the person that would do that for them.
I feel like I can make people better.
Inspire them.
Yeah, inspire them, make them better in their business. We invest in them. We invest in our business, not just for ourselves for profit, but to educate people and, again, make the better a better customer experience all around. And it's not just, again, people taking for profit. In this business, you got to keep giving back, to keep getting those referrals and have amazing relationships and meet awesome people like Jill.
Thank you.
So we're going to hit you with a bunch of questions. These are going to be a little different, Jill, because you are different, right? So we're not going to go hey, what was your first entrepreneurial experience? Although I'd like to, because Jill used to be a teacher, right? Prior to
I know.
this.
Like you called me out. You're like, Ron comes in like Stone Cold Steve Austin, just starts firing off questions. No, I saw a little bit of Jill's story. I've known Jill for a while. And got to learn a little bit more about Jill so we can better prepare for our interview.
Yeah. So when you were younger and the hard work that I can attest to, where did that come from? What was the first like job growing up, or who inspired you to be the hard worker that you are today? Because there's no one that we'll meet. I think I ran into somebody from Child and Family the other day. They're like, yeah, Jill just works her ass off all the time. So
without a question, my family, my parents, 100% my parents. I'm one of 4. My dad had 3 jobs. My mom stayed home and worked nights. We didn't have a lot of money. So we slid right in as soon as you could get working papers. I think back then it was 13. And I always had more than one job. Dunkin' Donuts, Pier 37, Dairy Queen. Like, I love to work. And it really, my parents made me want to work and work hard. And I was very grateful for my childhood. And we didn't have much, but what we did have, was everything to us.
Was it working out of necessity,
Yes.
part of it? Or did you, a lot of people started out that entrepreneurial mindset and said, hey, you know, I'm making some money, I want to grow this?
No, it was absolutely necessity in the beginning, but I met so many incredible people along the way that still today that I have relationships with, but it was for sure a necessity, but I loved it. I loved it. We all did. The 4 of us, all the kids worked. We shared a car. Like, it was, I love to work.
Well, at home you're around people, you're a big family, so when you're at work, obviously you probably gravitated towards people, and being in those industries, you're seeing people all the time.
Right. We put ourselves through college, and, our parents were incredible. We just didn't have much. So they worked really hard to give us what we did have.
awesome.
Said that you were a teacher. What made you want to get into let's fast forward. So what made you want to get into the teaching field?
To education. I loved kids, and I originally thought I would go into nursing, to be quite honest. But I loved being in the classroom. I loved being around kids, and I did elementary. I do believe, like, you foster those kids to a certain level, and I used to love to watch when they would get something. They'd get this look in their eye, and they'd understand it. And so for me, like, I love teaching.
You get, I know back then we could teach kids at the elementary level a little bit of everything.
Well, it was before it was teach to the test, sort of. So there was so much creativity, and I could do so much in the classroom, and every kid learned a little bit of a different way. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed watching them learn through play or motion or whatever it may be. And then I started my own family, and I got out of teaching before teach to the test.
So why did you gravitate more towards teaching versus nursing?
Honestly, I don't know. I spent some time in a classroom, and I was like, I think this is where I need to be.
Nice.
So when you got into what you do now, right? Mm-hmm. We got to kind of reverse into the Friends of Jack, how it started, right? Everybody knows Jill through the Friends of Jack. And then we're going to go back and forth from before Friends of Jack to afterwards, right? So prior to, you guys were always very generous. I know that. I spoke with Amy Wynn the other day.
Yeah.
She actually was the first person to give birth at the room that yourself and your family had donated to St. Luke's Hospital, right?
Yeah.
So that giving spirit that I love, I talk about it all the time. I'm like, hey, what's your favorite? Like, I always end these questions with, what's your favorite nonprofit and why, right?
Yeah.
So, so we all know yours, but actually we don't know yours because you help out a lot of others, right? So to automatically assume it's yours, I'd be wrong, and I know that for a fact. The giving in you, right? The amount that you care and all that stuff, where does that come from, and how does it make you feel, and moving forward, like passing it to others? Like, I've seen people around you that didn't have that same energy, that once they're around you, they're like, hey, what do you want to do? Let's get to it. Jill, come on, what do you want us to do? Like, how do we get there? Like, that energy you put off by just wanting to always continuously give towards others. When did this whole spirit start? And I know it was prior to the foundation.
It was definitely, for sure. It was when I was younger, my parents had us actively involved in giving back and stuff. Even though we didn't have much, we always gave back time. And then I have been so unbelievably fortunate in my life. And George was incredible about wanting to give back too. And we always knew as a family we were going to give back. healthcare was extremely important to us. Pediatrics was extremely important to us. Giving to schools was very important to us. So that started really, probably when Patrick was born, so well over 25 years ago, that we had the ability to give back. And healthcare was just one that we greatly, all of us felt so compassionate about.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started giving back much before the foundation.
Sure.
In other ways, whether it be like the Loft School or South Coast Health was a big one. We wanted people, if we could help even in the small way, we wanted to be able to do it.
Yeah. Jill got into a fundraiser for my daughter. My son 2 years ago, right? My son's in middle school now, but the school committee over there at the elementary school, they got their CRM just like we do in business. They still hit Jill up for donations. All of a sudden, she's like, "Oh, I donated to Bray." I'm like, hey, "Honey, are we supposed to be doing anything for Bray's fundraising?"
I love it.
I know, and it's just automatic. She's like, "I'm going to help the people that help me," and then that's just how it works.
I love it. And you know what's so great is I see these kids like your son that do these videos and they go online and like they care about what we're giving to.
Yeah.
And for me, if they're taking the time to care, I absolutely care.
That's awesome.
Like that's very important. I think in the community, we need to support kids, whether they be our own or not our own. We should be supporting in the community for the kids, for sure.
So before we get to these questions now we gave you the softball ones. We kind of got to give like a quick rundown of Jack, right? And what got you to where you are today, right? So give us a little background on Jack, his situation, and...
So let me start by saying Jack is 13 today and is incredible. And
That kid's a
I have
genius.
been so unbelievably blessed. Jack is one of 6, so it's not like I didn't have my fair share of being in hospitals with kids. But when Jack was 2, he got diagnosed with a pretty serious condition that kids don't typically get, Chiari malformation, and we were sent up to Boston Children's and had an unbelievable team working on him in the neurosurgery up there. Again, so unbelievably fortunate that Boston is an hour from us. And he did great. His first surgery, he did incredible. We spent 5 to 7 days there when we brought him home, and he did remarkable. And then a few years later, unfortunately, we got another diagnosis that his Chiari had grown back, which is sort of unheard of. It doesn't usually happen. When they release the compression on the brainstem, it's usually one and done. But we went into the second surgery pretty confident. We had the same team working on Jack, and we felt good. And the surgery itself went brilliantly, and they did come out and say it was extremely complicated. We're not quite sure, but let's move forward. We're going to wake him up. And they did. And Jack knew who I was. And that was pretty remarkable because we were unclear on that. And then he developed a condition called ARDS, which is kind of the hardening of your lungs. It's like your lungs turn to Velcro, essentially. He was placed on life support for quite some time, and we had a lot of, I like to call them hiccups along the way. He ended up needing about 7 to 8 more brain surgeries during his time, and we spent a lot of time at Boston Children's, months. I was unbelievably fortunate. George was able to be home with the kids. We had help at home. George or myself never left Jack's side, not for a day. But there were a lot of kids up there, and we were in the ICU. We saw a lot of kids pass away from things that maybe they didn't have to if they had the means or the resources where they were living to get to BCH faster. We walked out of there a very different family than when we walked in. And in fairness, I never anticipated the Friends of Jack to be what it is today. We initially started it, George and I, just giving back to South Coast Health. We started just fundraising, not knowing where the resources were needed, but knew we needed to do something to give back. So we gave it to South Coast Health, and we held a couple events, which did really successful. And then it dawned on us we weren't capturing every kid in the area unless they stepped through those doors at St. Luke's. And so the Friends of Jack sort of grew. And now a lot of our resources, and everybody hears me talk about child life specialists, they literally kept me alive when Jack was in the hospital. They primarily work with the patient, but for me, they kept me alive. And they didn't really have a lot of it down here. The resources that we wanted to bring, pediatrics in general doesn't really make any money. It makes no money, actually. So a lot of the extras need to be philanthropy-based. And so it was extremely important to us to be able to offer these services.
What are some of the challenges getting that off the ground? Because I'm sure a lot of people going through that, they feel like may get that same inspiration, like, hey, we got to do something to help or find a way to give back. So no one's ever thinking that till it happens to them.
Right.
But what are some like the biggest challenges kind of getting that off the ground?
Honestly, I would say the biggest challenge was fear in me, being able to, can I do it? Can I make this successful? Can I help? And then it was my donors that made me realize, yes, we can do this, because I can thank my donors all day long. The Friends of Jack wouldn't be in existence without them, but they gave me the ability to see what we could do. I would use their dollars, but I get to benefit from it because we got to share the programs with the families that a lot of people don't get to see. I got to meet kids. I got to work with the healthcare providers. Really, I am literally in the trenches with these people. And if it wasn't for our donors, I would never be able to do that. So it really is like, it's this, I have the best job in the world, but I wouldn't have it if it wasn't for the community.
Now, in every business, and, we're going to make believe this is a business. And just to be clear, one of the reasons why I did choose to serve on the Friends of Jack, it's not a business. There's no pay. There's none of that stuff. You give up a lot of your time to help a lot of kids. So it's not a business. But when I refer to the show, we have a lot of business-minded people that watch this show. So, all business is relative, as I like to say. Particular setback that you were like, man, I'm going to give up. And I know there's not much of that in you, but there had to be a time where you sat back and you said, I'm done. I'm done. And how did you get past it?
So I can honestly say I never actually said that. And I didn't say it because, yes, was it hard? And are there times certainly that I was a little tired or a little bit fried? Yeah. But then you meet that one kid or you get that one call. And I always tell people when families reach out to me, because it takes them a little bit of time to find me on the website and stuff, they are at their lowest. They need my help, and I would never turn my back on that. Again, super fortunate to have the family that I have because the kids grew up with the foundation. Yes, my older two were, in high school and college when it really developed. But they knew what was going on and they knew why I was doing it. And then my 4 younger ones literally grew up with the foundation. They don't know me any other way. And they're so actively involved and so proud of it that even if I wanted to give up, they would never allow that. They would never allow me to give up.
Pretty cool.
You ever have, throughout this process, this journey, like somebody that mentored you through this or a family member that helped you get this off the ground and made sure you stayed on your path and kept it going the direction you wanted? So
I never knew the direction we were going to go. It changed all the time. There was a point that I was like, oh, we're going to do the Bears and the Capes. And then we pivoted to, we really go at the direction of what the kids in the community need. Our mission statement is so broad that I have the ability to detour if I need to help. And we certainly do.
And she does.
We do. I do try and streamline, and the majority of our funding does go to all the child life salaries and our BEAR programs. But really the community helps me find the path that we're going to go on because you just never know what's needed. When COVID hit, we had the opportunity to really step in and help a lot of people at that time that they didn't know where to get the resources. And we were able to do it and love to do it. And we followed the governor's guidelines on how many people I could have in a room and stuff. But during COVID, we never stopped because that was when people really needed us the most. So there's no, I had grandiose plans of I would love to see us be national. I think everybody should have a Friends of Jack in their community. But there was so much need in our community that I'll never pull from that. The one thing that we feel really strongly about and are proud of is the money that is raised in the community. We put it towards the community. So money
Stays home.
It stays home. It stays in their backyard.
Yeah.
The resources that we put into Hasbro comes out of Providence, not out of New Bedford. The resources in New Bedford stays in their local hospitals.
Excellent. Social media. This is something that kind of blew up the Friends of Jack Foundation, right?
Thank you to you, Chris.
Wow.
We would not have... Nope, absolutely. All
if it
credit.
weren't for the foundation, the social media wouldn't have helped your business, but it did positively impact. And kind of talk about that, right? Talk about the foundation, talk about you. I appreciate it, but and how does social media? Because a lot of people skip. The reason why we ask this because so many people in business are like, And still in today's age, there's just...
Social media is why we are where we are today. And Chris, I genuinely mean that. And I pushed back on it because I didn't really want to see myself out there on social media. You taught me the importance of allowing everybody to see what we do, who we are. And a great deal of what we do and who we are still to this day is not on social media because we work with families and we work with kids and we don't expose that in any way. So I can't tell you how many times people will say to me, I had no idea you did that. We can't put that on social media. That's not who we are. But social media it made us who we are today, 100%. 100%. And people, it gave the ability to find us. If they needed us, if they needed help. And I think that is like, tell the story and understand, like, we're here for you. Because I say every single day, I have no idea. We don't capture everybody. And if we're missing somebody, we want to know it.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me know.
We want to know.
That's what our next word is.
Always.
COVID-19 changed the way a lot of people do business. What are some of the things that impacted you the most, and what are some of the changes that you've maintained in your foundation since then, or the way that you guys do business now?
So COVID kind of hit as soon as we started. Literally, it was within months of the foundation starting. And I took a week off, and then we all regrouped as a board, and I was like, we need to do, how do we continue to support the pediatrics in the hospitals and stuff? We had the masks. So
I got a picture with you with my Friends of Jack mask on.
Yeah,
and
it was
then
important.
We took it off immediately after the picture and drank together.
Well, we immediately called hospitals and police and fire and said, what do you need? What do you need from us? What's happening? And they didn't have pediatric masks. So we made pediatric masks, and we were able to provide those with all of the hospitals. So when kids went in, they went in with a bright, colorful mask. It wasn't scary for them. We decided to continue to run the Bear program. Again, super grateful to all of our local hospitals that they still accepted us. But we quarantined the bears and we bagged them, and we took the precautions necessary to be able to still provide for the kids and the care in the community.
What's the Bear program? The people that are hearing about you for the first time.
I wish
they're from
I had
another
remembered to bring a
one.
package.
The Bear program
Chris is like the big teddy bear.
It's
smaller.
It's a normal-sized teddy bear that wears a T-shirt, and inside your kit is a superhero cape and a mask for the child, not the bear. And so the Bear program is really where it started. Is Jack was my little superhero when he was in the hospital, and he had this Spider-Man mask that we were able to put on for certain procedures. And honestly, I know it sounds crazy, but when I was able to get that mask on him for certain MRIs or things that he needed to do, his outcome is a little bit brighter. He felt a little bit more secure. And so part of like when we started, I wanted all kids to feel that, to feel like they were a superhero, to be able to fight through whatever they were going through. So now that program is essentially anywhere that a child's at risk. We have that program in police, fire, ambulance, all hospitals, child and family, so like anywhere that a child could be at risk. And it's at the discretion of the person who's giving it out. Like, we provide all of this with no charge to anybody, but we allow them to use the program how they seem fit, because every kid is a little different.
I mean, we're talking everywhere, from jail visits to
Everywhere.
ambulance services to school departments to the back
Everywhere.
of cruisers to ambulances. It's not just you going
Well,
into the
kids
hospital.
are repeat offenders. They're going to have to go back to the hospital. They're going to, have an incident. We want them to not be afraid.
Yeah.
We want them to feel secure.
I still get pictures every day, like, hey, that friend's job. My kid's got a bear, and I'll forward it to Jill. Like, the bears are everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, and they make a difference.
They definitely make a difference. And, they're our future, and we want kids to feel secure, and no matter where they are and what they do. And we're here for parents the same. A large part of my time is now spent helping parents navigate sort of the healthcare system, where to go, who to call, what to do.
So these questions kind of roll into the next. So tell us a day in the life of Jill.
So every day is a little different. Some days I am packing bears,
Are we
and
4 or 5 a.m. club, or a little bit
Jill
later?
doesn't sleep.
I'm right in there with Chris. I'm definitely one of those.
That's awesome.
I would love to have more hours in my day, but again, every day is a little different. Whether I'm meeting people at the hospital to help them navigate, whether I'm speaking, I do speaking arrangements at school sometimes, packing the bears, delivering toys. I mean, every day is a little different. That's why I get up every day and wonder what it's going to hold for me.
You'll speak to realtors, come in and yell at us and motivate us.
Haven't done that
Bring it
yet.
to Remax.
Haven't done that yet. Not off the table.
He's made me go into on a Saturday morning and yell at his guys.
Somebody's got to do it.
And in doing so, we started going to Zooms, which he's like, "Oh, do a Zoom on my team meeting." I'm like, You see the one
we
person
never
paying
really
attention?
did. We didn't really
One
do
person paying attention
Zooms.
to you,
And
like, those Zoom things are useless, the Zoom meetings. So,
what I can say, the way COVID-19 changed for us is the prices of our products have
sky high.
drastically. So our bears that went from like $5.64 a bear to $11 a bear. Oof. Our capes, our masks, but we won't budge on the bear. I'm very particular about our bear. It is completely safe for the child, and it's soft and cuddly. So I was like, we'll find a way. And we do. We find a way to make it work. We introduced the Power Wheels into when COVID-19 started, so that kids were driving themselves into the OR versus having to be pre-sedated. I felt like that was very important. And we were able to get these incredible cars, courtesy of Toyota or Dartmouth. They're our lead sponsor. And the nurses, if the kids can't do it, they drive them into the OR. Wow. And their outcome is just, it's different. They're less medicated. It's like...
We need a Remax Vantage Power Wheels, bro, running through the hospital system.
Do that.
I mean,
you
it
sure
is.
about that?
It's pretty awesome. It's Chris was there the first when we launched it.
We were in Waltham Children's Hospital, right? Boston Children's in Waltham. We had a kid. He's going to have his tonsil surgery, right? And
he was so afraid.
Parents were nervous. You could see the nervousness. Then all of a sudden we walk in with this truck. I'm in a suit. I'm trying to do my thing, and damn kid slamming into my shins with the Power Wheels, laughing his ass off, right?
But remember how afraid he was?
He was scared to death at first.
He was so afraid.
Once he got in that Power Wheels and he ran over me 6 or 7 times, guess what? Drove himself right to surgery. The parents' attitude changed. Everything changed. I never realized that, this is cool. But then when you actually experience it and you see it works. And then we spoke with Betty Beatty, right?
Yeah.
Who's an anesthesiologist, right? And nurse anesthesiologist. And she says it's a scientifically proven, medically proven fact that these programs with that kids drive themselves to surgery eliminates one step of medication for your child, right? So they give them the initial dose to calm them down to then get them into the surgery room. That's eliminated.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. a little car and some fun. And
if they're
see
in
you
a
later.
Remax Jeep, they're going to feel even better.
They're going to feel powerful. They're going to feel
You just start doing,
empowered, and we put the cape on them, and they're real superheroes.
Just listed. You can just
listed,
listed
just
hospital rooms, right? The Remax hot.
I mean, I do have to say, I'm very, very fortunate we were able to bring on a paid employee. Peter came on about 3 years ago, so he does everything behind the scenes for me. So I do have to say, like, my days can be very fun because I get to work in the community, but he's behind the scenes doing all the stuff I don't know how to do.
What are some of the daily habits and rituals and non-negotiables every day?
So non-negotiables are if somebody calls and needs the program, I make that happen that day for them. Typically, we have a set schedule of like hospitals, like St. Luke's would get it every Tuesday, Friday. But if I get called and they're like, hey, we have a special case in here, non-negotiable is I make sure it happens. So I try and time myself during the day with little to no schedule so that I have the ability to do that. Not some non-negotiables, or I don't miss a lot of my kids' things outside of the foundation. In the beginning, starting up with the foundation, I did spend an enormous amount of time. I did miss some crucial things with the kids. I try not to do that anymore. I think it's very important for me to be able to balance both. And I've learned that along the way.
So now we get to the hard questions, work-life balance, and you've kind of just walked your way into that question, right? So how do you manage work-life balance, especially during like the times where you're most needed, right? Whether you see that Friends of Jack signal in the sky, people calling Jill, like how do you manage
Just put
that?
supper on the table.
Well, again,
The
I
bad
think I
signal goes
am
out.
extremely fortunate to have the family that I have and the kids that I have because my phone is typically only shut off on Christmas, but my kids know the phone rings all the time or I get asked for help, and they're incredible about it. Sometimes they come with me to make deliveries and stuff. So yeah, I'm very, very fortunate about that. I have learned to balance it better though. I don't say no, but I can say I'll be there when I can. But it's definitely difficult. You know, you go in as with any parent, you know, we're trying to do the best that we can and navigate all of our surroundings. But when you love what you do, and I love what I do, and I love being a mom, and so you make it happen.
Do you think you kind of hone in on your superpowers? You're like, this is what I do best, and I'm just gonna, especially after now that you've been in this half a dozen years, you're like, this is what I do best. We all know that you can do anything and everything, but do you feel like you start to hone in after a few years? Like, this is what I do best. This is what, you know,
and I
can
think
bring
all
to
of
the
us
table.
do. I think everybody does. I think that we all have to dig deep, and I'm not any more special than anybody else out there. Everybody has to dig deep and pull it together. And we do that. We do that for our kids. We do that for our community. You know, we do that because we love it.
So somebody starting out, let's rewind. What do you think would be some of the best advice you could give them? Somebody that's getting started on this journey.
And it could be just business as well. Like consider this is a business show. So, you know, something that, you know.
Set realistic goals for yourself, like what you really want to accomplish in the right time frame. I think some of my frustration earlier on, and I didn't give the respect to, say, the hospitals, or I was like, go, 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 go. Why can't we do this? Like, and I had to understand that there was a process for things. Like, even though it's a great idea for me, there's a process to go through it. So allow yourself that, knowing that some things take time.
Yeah, it's 100% true. Like, you know, people in business all the time. I've done it. You've done it, right? If you are punching in an address to navigation and you're not honest from either the starting point or to the finish point, how do you expect the navigation to get you there, right? So a lot of business owners go in, they're full of piss and vinegar, but they're not really honest about their starting point. And I think that's going back to the question, what we discussed earlier with a lot of these guys that are coming in and burning out on you. You know, they're not really being honest about their starting point. And then they're not really
way over embellish things, way over.
And then they don't understand what the actual a finish line looks like.
And
right?
allow
so maybe
yourself,
maybe that's something on
Right.
your end that you got to describe what the finish line looks like. Better.
allow yourself and know you'll fail at things
Yeah.
and be okay with that. But always have a bigger dream, because if you're not chasing something, then why do it?
Yeah.
Like don't reach for a goal that is bigger than you think.
Yeah.
Because you'll get there.
And it's nice when you say a goal and people look at you like you're crazy. They're like, all right, I got it right then.
Right.
This is what I
right.
wanna do.
I mean, because you are going to have highs and lows, and things are going to fail, and things are going to succeed, and things that you can't even imagine. I never thought Friends of Jack would be what it is today. And I'm so unbelievably proud of it and what we've been able to accomplish. But that's not me. That's our community and everybody that supports me.
Did you ever feel like overwhelmed? Like, holy shit, our
Every
event's
day.
sold out. It's busting out at the seams.
Every day, to some part of my day, I feel a little overwhelmed.
Especially a week out from any of her events.
Any event.
And
We're gonna
not
talk
just
about
the
them.
major events, the events that she just comes up with randomly. Hey, we're going to do this in 2
I
weeks.
love events. I think we are very good at pulling off events. I love having events for kids and families. I wish there was more of that in the community, because I think it's extremely important. I know how much it matters to be able to do something with your child and do it together. So we bring a lot of those to the table when it comes to the foundation. It's really important to me.
What's the secret sauce to that?
So you got to be creative. You got to think outside the box a little bit, and you got to think of something that hasn't been done. And I strive for that. I like us to be a little bit different. I like us to be a little bit creative. I do tap into my kids a lot for some creativity and say, what would you like to see? What would you like to do?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I think that's, important. I always say my way is not always the right way. I love direction. I love opinions. And I love to know if I'm not doing something right and how we can correct that.
How do you measure your impact? Right. So you go back, we're all here in business. We all look at KPI and all that stuff. But how does the Friends of Jack and Jill measure success? And like, hey, this was successful. Are you actually like tracking how many kids you've helped out per day? I know the answer to that.
No, not even possible. It's not even possible. I think tracking our success is I'll be in the grocery store and I'll see a little one with our bear. Or I'll get a call from an inmate's family saying, thank you so much for having your program in the sheriff's department, because now my little one will go visit their dad. Strangers walking up to me on the streets. I've had multiple people walk up to me on the streets and hand me money. I think my favorite story is we had helped a family, a little boy, and I don't always know who we help, but they tracked me down, found out where I lived, and this little boy knocked on my door with like $3.64 and handed it to me and was like, I'd like to buy a bear. Like, those matter. My level of success doesn't come from like what we're funding or what we're giving out. It really comes from how we are helping in our community and what our community does. Like, I can't say enough how grateful I am to live where we are and have people believe in what we do the way they do. And it's not just me, though. Our community is very, very generous to nonprofits.
100%.
Prior to Friends of Jack, what was the charity you would probably be most behind or supported?
So honestly, I can say it was more like the schools, the local schools, and the local hospitals. We did a lot with Gifts to Give. I have learned about all these nonprofits along the way. Like, some of them I didn't know. I knew of like the bigger ones, but I didn't know, like meeting Jeff Pelletier from Junior Achievements. I didn't know about Junior Achievements until now and what the tremendous work they do.
I was with them yesterday.
I mean, I saw it. That was so generous. Like, it's, the zoo. I didn't know the zoo was a nonprofit till I started working with them and seeing what they do. There are so many incredible nonprofits out there that I have been blessed to get to know and have really great relationships with. So my suggestion to people all the time is like, donate to what you believe in and what you want to see the change, because there is something for everybody when you do your research.
So, Jill, we want to wrap up here shortly, but I also want to give you the opportunity to kind of discuss what the end goal is for Friends of Jack and kind of where you see this going in the next 5 to 10 years, and then obviously how we can help us and the viewers to get you to that point.
So I hope there's never an end goal for us. I hope that the work that we do continues and flourishes, because there's always going to be a need and there's always going to be a kids. And again, Pipe Dream would love to see, I would love to see us national. I would love to be able to give what we're able to give here to kids everywhere. It's not as easy as it sounds. You really need almost a me in every community to pull it off. But that would be my goal. Here in the community, I would love to just see people continue to support us and us support them. So again, like I always say, if we are missing something, if there is something that they would like to see different in the community, reach out to me. I love goals. We set new goals all the time. And, you know, when we meet them, we set new goals and we just go higher. And again, we love to work with other nonprofits. I can't say that enough. I would love to collaborate on more projects in our community.
Tell us about some of your upcoming events. You throw a great party.
We throw a great event.
A lot of great events. Tell us some of the ones that you have coming up.
So we have awesome events coming up this year. I'm really excited about it. We have our golf tournament that is at Top Golf that is run by LaPointe Insurance. They run that entire event for us and give us every dollar that is made, which is pretty unbelievable. We were super fortunate this year to be chosen by the Big Game Battle. It's a fishing tournament on Nantucket as their donor. And so that's coming up. The launch party's coming up at Hell at the Moon in Boston. So that allows the Boston folks to get to know us a little bit. We, of course, have the 4th of July parade.
How many years have we won that?
6.
And who's counting though, right?
That is such a great one.
It's like Jill's little Super Bowl. She loves it.
Yeah, I do. I love it. We are bringing back another kids event. In the past, we've always done the Alice in Wonderland Tea Party. This year, we are collaborating with the zoo, the Buttonwood Zoo, and I am bringing the Candyland board game to life. So kids will have the opportunity, and families will have the opportunity to come out and actually play the game via in person. I'm super excited for this one. This one's going to be great. And then, of course, we have the fishing tournament that's on Nantucket the end of July. And then we roll right into the annual celebration in September. And then we are going to
Tutu Challenge.
kick off the Tutu Challenge once again. That's been smashingly successful.
So, you know, earlier
Food
you said, oh, I shut my phone off for Christmas. But the fact of the matter is Jill is doing Christmas from October 1st,
Yes.
right? Pretty much.
Yep.
With the Tutu Challenge right up until Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And over the past few years, how many thousands of families do you think that I've seen you in your garage, like garage storage
Thousands.
areas. We've seen fire trucks filled where the tutu challenge is fun. It gets people out there talking about it. But each and every time someone puts a tutu on, they're buying gifts with their donation.
1,000,000%. Yeah.
You know,
and we work with, I'm going to say every school now. Every school has needs. And the best part about it is I like to say we are truly Santa. The families don't know we exist, because I think that would hinder some people from asking help from me. So I work with the fire departments, who then work with the guidance counselors at the schools. They come back to me. The fire departments deliver the gifts. Nobody knows I exist, which is
pretty cool,
remarkable. But we probably help, within the schools, we definitely tackle at least 500 families a year. with gifts. And we never say no. We don't have a deadline. We don't have a families come to me 3 days before Christmas and the dad loses their job or whatever it may be. Everybody has hardship, and not everybody always needs us every year. And I can say families that have used us have come to me 2 or 3 years later wanting to help and give back and said, you changed it for us, and we want to offer you that.
So now, Jill, everybody's sold. Everybody's been sold on the Friends of Jack, but how do we get in touch with Jill to not only participate in the event, to sponsor an event, but more so to help, right? Because I think a lot of people think that Jill just needs money for her events, right?
No,
So,
we
and that's
love
not the
volunteers.
fact. The volunteers is something that I've seen. Like, I've walked into the office before Christmas and seen Jill by herself with literally ceiling to the floor to ceiling gifts, and her packaging all of them and wrapping them all. So I know for a fact that if you're good at wrapping gifts, there is an opportunity for you in October, November, and December to help Jill. But then packing bears is another big one, right?
Yeah,
so when you're going
bears,
through packing bears, everything else we do. So how does somebody get in touch with you?
They can go right to our website. All my information's right on friendsofjack.org.
Okay.
We work with a ton of schools now, and we have a lot of kids that volunteer to come in and pack bears now. And I do a lot of community service hours for kids. I sign off on a lot of hours, and kids, the high school kids in particular, it's difficult for them to do community service hours while trying to maintain and juggle everything they're doing in their lives. So a lot of times they'll come to me and say, I can't do it now, but can I? And absolutely, they always come back. Always. Those kids will always come back and say, I loved what I did. Do you have any time for me?
That's awesome.
I mean, I've had kids from 8th grade that are now entering college that come back when they're on college break and say, hey, do you need any help?
I know in particular, we did the 1 year, the Dartmouth hockey team, and they still continue
They still continue.
Yeah, Evan Moniz was the first year.
I mean, it's awesome. We're it's awesome. Our community is awesome.
Best bit of professional advice you can give somebody in business?
Besides, do what you love.
Yes, that is my...
Next to do what you love.
Honestly, do what you love and work hard at it. It's not going to come easy. It's certainly not going to come easy. This did not come easy for me, and you absolutely will make sacrifices in order to be successful at it. You have to work hard, and don't give up on the dream. Don't give up on the dream, because it might not look exactly as you thought it was going to look, but you can have it. It just might look a little different, but don't give up. That's my biggest thing, is don't give up. Plow forward.
You're the best.
Thank you.
That? So don't give up.
You don't give up.
You don't give up.
I'm going to call you tomorrow morning. Don't give up.
Ronnie's had a hard time this year because Ronnie is pretty good at everything, right? So Ronnie succeeds. And one thing that's really getting to him is that some of his agents this year, during a tougher market, are not reaching that level that they thought they would be at, so they kind of burn out faster. And he's taking it personally.
Yeah, don't take that personally.
He's taking it personal.
And you're an incredible leader. You've given them the guidance. They may burn out, but remember, they may come back. Sometimes they just need a break.
I just want them to be hungry.
Sometimes they take that pause. They realize, wow, that was really great, and they'll come back.
Sometimes that was the conversation we had already. Should I let people come back? And
Yeah,
I'm like,
yes.
Chris
You hit the pause
like
button.
that. Don't let them come back.
Bullshit.
I always think people should.
I say if you take them back, make sure that you
they're going to work
them,
harder when you do take them back.
Yeah, make sure that they go in front of your group and say why they came back.
Yeah,
I mean, there's value in that.
They're not going to need to say. People are going to see it. Yeah. They're going to work hard for you when they come back.
100%. Jill,
thank you, guys.
I know you're super busy, and I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to share your story. You're always welcome back, and I really urge people, if you don't know about the Friends of Jack, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but get to learn about it. They're making a difference. They're one of the few nonprofits over here that most, if not all of your money goes directly to where you intend it to go, which is super huge when you're deciding on where to support. There's a million nonprofits out there, but I always tell people, a big part of where you want to give your money is where $1 you want to see as much of that dollar go to its target, right? And the target for Jill is kids and kids that are in a bad situation. So if you want your dollar to go to kids in a bad situation, almost all of it, every single penny of it, goes directly to that target with the Friends of Jack, and I can attest to that.
Episode 24, one of the best ones. You're going to want to watch this a couple of times. Reach out to Jill if you're looking for some advice on how to get your nonprofit off the ground.
Someone's already calling,
Somebody's
dude.
already calling. That's a call right now on the hotline, Friends of Jack.
That's amazing.
I apologize.
You didn't have your phone on silent
There
throughout the whole
it is.
episode. Only ran once.
Episode 24, definitely one of the best ones we've had to date.
Please share this episode,
Thank you.
especially with the fact that you may be helping a child out. This is more so the impact that Friends of Jack's having. If you do make this share, do it for the kids, so that way somebody can find out about this organization, either to help it grow or to find the help that they need.
Like and share, spread the message.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks.